afternoon to all. Respected Principal Dr. Jacob Matthew Sir, Vice Principal, Research Director Dr. Joe Prasad Matthew, faculties and other participants. Welcome to the International Webinar on Best Practices in Research. Today, on the 5th day of the webinar, we have Jasimuddin Sir from St. Stephen's College, Uravur for the talk. Today's talk will be on research misconduct.
Before starting this session, let me introduce our speaker. He is the library manager at St. Stephen's College, Uravur, and a former professional library assistant at MG University. He is a rank holder in post-graduation from Kerala University in Library and Information. He holds diploma in radiological technology and PG diplomas in journalism and computer applications and open source technology. He has published 10 journal articles, more than 20 conference proceedings, and 1 book. He is the editorial board member of Oriole Multidisciplinary Journal and a resource person in various UGC HRDC. It's my privilege to invite you for the talk, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, then how much is this scientific misconduct prevalent? Actually, there is a study by Daniel Fanelli in 2009, and he tried to answer this question by doing a systematic review of published studies. And what he concluded was 2% of researchers admitted to misconduct. That means he scanned through around 3,207 papers, and he included only fabrication or fabrication. However, 14% were aware of misconduct by others. This was the conclusion reached by Fanelli in 2009. And he excluded this plagiarism misconduct. No, he included only falsification and fabrication. Then how much is this prevalent? This is another testimony by Richard Smith, and he was a former journal editor of the Lancet. And he says he happened to see, or he saw around 20 cases of prevalence of misconduct in an year when he was the editor of that journal. And he says that after the implementation or the formation of COP, that is Committee on Publication Ethics, this prevalence of misconduct sharply came down. Next slide, please. And what is this Committee on Publication Ethics? And it is a non-profit organization to define best practice in the ethics of scholarly publishing and to assist editors, publishers, etc. to achieve this. And this is COP, Committee on Publication Ethics. You might have seen in foreign journals that we comply to the rules and regulations or the guidelines of COP, and this is COP. Next one, please. What COP does, and COP educates and support editors, publishers, and those involved in publication ethics with the aim of moving the culture of publishing towards ethical practice. Ethical publishing is the main motto, and giving training, giving orientation to editors and publishers is the main motto of COP. Next one. And they publish a monthly newsletter. They have created an audit tool for members to measure compliance with the core practices and guidance in the form of flowcharts, discussion documents, etc. And that's the link given over there. I will send both the PPTs to all the participants after the session, after collecting the emails from the organizers. So you can go through that links and you can learn more about COP from that site. I suggest the budding research scholars or the faculty members to learn the guidelines of COP so that they can inculcate or they can take that policies in their academic career. Next one. Why misconduct occurs? That's a human nature. We are prone to do undesirable things. That's the main reason, and it was given as a explanation by Wells and Farthing in their book. Then they say that human nature is flawed, and the temptation to cheat, fabricate, falsify, or plagiarize, coupled with the degrees of arrogance and greed, will indeed always remain with us. മനുഷ്യരാണ്. അപ്പോൾ മനുഷ്യ സഹജമായ എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും ഉണ്ടാവും. We are human beings. We are prone to do undesirable things. And you may read this later. Next slide, please. Who might commit misconduct, and who are the persons very often does this misconduct? They could be authors and researchers. That's the first persons who does this misconduct. And the types of misconduct authors and researchers might commit include: 1, unethical research, and the second one is fabrication. Third one is falsification, including image manipulation. Then plagiarism. Then selective reporting, redundant publication, inappropriate authorship, gift and ghost authorship, and undeclared conflicts of interest. And these are all the misconduct that authors and researchers usually do. Next one. Editors. What editors do? Misconducts. Then the first one is bias in selection. What is bias in selection? Suppose two research groups are area. Suppose the editor has some bias to one group of researchers, and he accepts only purpose from that research group, and it can be called as bias in selection. Then preferential treatment for friends or colleagues. For example, suppose head of the department is the editor of a journal, and he accepts a purpose predominantly from the staff members and students of his institution, and he is doing preferential treatment for that institution, and by not accepting purpose from other institutions, or he is not interested in receiving much purpose from other institutions, he is showing preferential treatment. Then breaching confidentiality. What is mean by this breaching of confidentiality? Normally in editorial process, there is a method called blind peer review. That means the reviewers, the papers are sent by the editor to the reviewers for reviewing, and normally in blind peer review, the editor will not disclose the name, affiliation of the author, so that the reviewers can do independent peer reviewing, unbiased peer reviewing. But in sometimes, if the editor disclose or has some interest, he may disclose that he is the researcher from that institute, do extra care in reviewing, etc., etc. That is the breaching of confidentiality. Then the fourth one is intentional delays for rivals. Suppose a rival research group or another research group from a country or from the same country itself when submitting manuscript, the editor will intentionally delay the reviewing process or the publication process. It comes under the misconduct done by journal editors. Next one. What are all the misconducts done by reviewers? The same thing that editors do will be done by the reviewers also. And one of the major misconduct done by peer reviewers is plagiarism. Suppose you are presenting some novel idea in some conferences, or submitting some novel or original idea to some journals. There may be a chance by the reviewers to copy paste or to reproduce that result in their lab and publishing that result before the publication of the manuscript submitted by the concerned authors. And that comes under the one of the misconduct done by the reviewers. Then breaching confidentiality is another misconduct. Then intentional delay in reviewing is another misconduct done by the reviewers. And then I think I am audible now, right? Clearly audible.
Yes, sir, audible.
Then what are all the misconducts done by publishers? The same thing: plagiarism of ideas or text or data, then breaching confidentiality, intentional delays, etc. Next one. Funders. And funders also does this misconduct, and one of the main misconduct done by funders is suppressing inconvenient result. Normally funders fund organizations or individual to get some output which are which gives advantage to the funding organization. And if the output is not is undesirable to the funders, they may suppress inconvenient results, and they will delay the publications, and not giving the access to data access to others, they may do misconduct. These are some of the misconduct done by the funding organizations. Next one. Okay, please take the next slide. Examples. I have I have pick and choose some example for all these types of misconduct. Okay, fine. Take the first example. Okay, unethical research. An example for unethical research is given there, and the news link in which the information about that unethical research appeared in Guardian. It was in 2016, and it says Paolo Macchiarini, and he is known as a superstar doctor, and he was fired from Swedish Institute over research lies. He lied to the research organization, and what he did was, he was a doctor. He treated his patients using synthetic trachea. The patients having troubles in their trachea, and he treated them with the synthetic trachea transplant, which he developed in his lab. Actually, he didn't reveal that majority of his patients died after getting the treatment, but he advertised that his treatment was very fine, wonderful, and he was in newspapers that as a superstar hero doctor. But actually, majority of the patients he treated died, and later it was investigated and found out that he was involved in unethical research. And this is one example of unethical research. Majority of the unethical research happens in medical field. Just search unethical research in medical field in Google. You may get tons of information about this unethical type of research. And this is only one example, just to give you the accurate picture of what this misconduct is. The second one is falsification or fabrication. And see, the name of the journal is given over there, and it's Cell Biology. It's a high impact journal. An analysis of image manipulation at the Journal of Cell Biology revealed that 1% of images had been inappropriately altered. We know the Photoshop, no? While submitting manuscripts to high impact journals, particularly in science field, normally we used to send microscopic image or scanned images or NMR image, SM, TEM, etc. And these images, sometimes when we didn't get the desired or the expected result, the authors may Photoshop it, manipulate it, and they may submit it to journals, and the reviewers or editors were unable to identify the altered images, so it may get published. But after some time, the readers may notice the alterations, and they may inform the editor, and there is a chance of retraction of that article. And this comes under the misconduct, falsification and fabrication. Next one. See, this is another type of misconduct. This is also image duplication. Researcher, a prominent cancer researcher in US, was hit with 10-year ban on federal US funding. And this news appeared in August 10, 2020. And the link is given over there. Please read it later. And the explanation is given in the next slide. Next slide, please. And this is the description or the detailed information about that misconduct. And he was a former scientist at Wayne State University, and he got a 10-year ban on federally funded research after being found guilty of misconduct. Next slide. See what the Office of Research Integrity said about that misconduct done by that US scientist, and they found that he engaged in research misconduct by intentionally, knowingly, and or recklessly falsifying or fabricating images representing protein expression, invasion and migration assays, and electrophoretic mobility shift assays in experiments designed to identify underlying mechanisms controlling cell proliferation, etc., etc., etc. And this was done by that scientist, and he got a 10-year ban after finding that he engaged in research misconduct. And see, the finding, one of the longest we have seen, shows a staggering amount of bad faith with individual episodes of fabrication approaching to triple digits. See, triple digits means more than 100 misconduct. And this is a classic example to know or to study the misconduct done by manipulating images. Please read that link later after the session. I will send the PPT to all the participants. Next one. Then example 2. Actually, these cases are from India. If I would have the laptop, I would have shared the newspaper article, but just I will tell what it says. See, 33 purposes were listed in Papier for image duplication, and the 33 purposes were from Indian Institute of Science. That's the important thing you have to know. Indian Institute of Science is the premier scientific institution in India, and the top-notch researchers from that institute published papers in high-impact journal. And after a long time, the readers will find, or readers will notice manipulations in their image, and they will report. Normally, they report in Papier, P-U-P-P-E-E-R. Papier is a site where you can comment on purpose. If you see some discrepancy, some research misconduct while you read your purpose, you can report in Papier. And 33 papers were listed in Papier, and all those papers were from Indian Institute of Science. And the example 3 given is, see, 127 papers from India retracted due to image duplication or manipulation. What is retraction? Normally, in high impact journal, it will take 1 year or 1.5 years to publish a paper. After publication, it will be there for a long time. Other researchers will search and find those papers, and they will cite that paper in their papers or the manuscripts or the research they are doing. And if somebody notice some problem with that images, they will inform the editor, or they will comment it on Papier or some other forums. If they comment it on Papier, the moderator of the Papier will inform the editor, and the editor of the journal will ask the author to clarify or to defend the allegations. If the author fails to defend properly, the editor will retract the paper from their journal database. That means it is removed. It will be removed from the journal database. And see the example. It's 127 papers from India. I think it's in 2019. 120 papers were published, retracted from various high-impact journals. And this is one of the serious scientific or publication misconduct that prevails in India. Next one. See, another publication misconduct is misrepresentation of data. I took the example from the recent COVID stories. See, this is in Medscape. You can see an interview of Dr. Eric Topol, who is the founder and director of Scripps Research Translational Institute, and Dr. John White, and he is the chief medical officer at WebMed. Both are doyens in their field. And what Dr. Eric Topol says about misrepresentation of data during COVID era, and he says that this misrepresentation of data hurt COVID-19 efforts to find a treatment. Next one. See, these are all the drug candidates which were wildly publicized in the beginning of the COVID time, that this can be used to treat COVID. Convalescent plasma, hydrochloroquine, remdesivir, dexamethasone, interferon, etc., etc. Next one. See what Dr. Eric Topol said about the randomized control trials of all these drug candidates. See, there certainly weren't any randomized trials of hydrochloroquine at that time, in the beginning of the COVID time. Now, then the drug candidate was remdesivir. See what happened in the randomized control trials of remdesivir. In the beginning, the objective was to find the survival rate of the population or the candidates in thousands. See, later they found that the survival rate is less. They changed the hypothesis to recovery time, survival time versus recovery time. None survived or limited person survived, so they changed the goalpost to recovery time, and this is a misrepresentation of data. This was Dr. Eric Topol said about misrepresentation of data. Next one. See, this was about dexamethasone, and it was an ideal candidate, drug candidate, and the number of persons in the populations were around 6,000 people, and that's the data we need to be certain to be confident of anything. This is what Dr. Topol says. Next one. Another example or another type of scientific misconduct is selective reporting, and the title I selected for this one is hydrochloroquine and azithromycin as a treatment of COVID-19, results of an open label non-randomized clinical trial. After the publication of this paper, next slide please. After the publication of this paper, there started a serious discussion among the medical community to use hydrochloroquine as a possible drug candidate against COVID-19. In India also, and ICMR recommended use of hydrochloroquine. In various states, hydrochloroquine was used against as a prophylaxis for COVID treatment. And what actually happened after the publication of that paper? Serious allegations were raised by medical fraternity across the world that some sort of selective reporting was done by the authors of that paper. And after looking at the enormous amount of allegations against that paper, the International Journal of Antimicrobial Agents, in which that paper was published, issued a notice. And the notice says that that paper does not meet the expected standard, especially relating to the lack of better explanations of the inclusion criteria and the triage of patients to ensure patient safety. This was the notice issued by that journal after seeing enormous amount of allegations on selective reporting. Next one. And this was the further details of that paper. The study actually was authored by Didier Raoult, and he is famous in this in his domain. And in PubPeer, always if somebody is not aware of PubPeer, do take a account in PubPeer. You can take membership in anonymous way also in PubPeer. You can search the purpose by using DOI, and you can see the comments written by other readers or domain experts in that field about scientific misconducts in some purpose. And if you search this paper in PubPeer, you can see the most prominent comments by Elizabeth Bick, and she says that, see, there were missing patients in the final paper or the final data. Then conflicted peer review and confusing data. And these were the allegations raised by Elizabeth Bick, and it was genuine allegations, and that's why the International Journal of Microbial Agents issued that clarification. And what is conflicted peer review? Actually, if you see that paper, the second author of that paper was the editor of the International Microbial Journal, International Journal of Microbial Agents. That is conflicted peer review. Normally, persons do not peer review their purpose themselves, and in this case, this paper was peer reviewed by one of the co-authors who was the editor of that journal also. Okay, next one. Then data fraud. This is another type of scientific misconduct. And this prominent data fraud is also a recent one I took from the COVID stories, and that data fraud is done by Indians. Naturally, that's why I took that example. And see, the two journals published, two top-notch journals in medical field, New England Journal of Medicine and Lancet, published papers based on the effectiveness of hydrochloroquine. And the conclusion was hydrochloroquine was not effective for the treatment of COVID. That was the conclusion of that purpose in New England Journal of Medicine and Lancet. And it appeared in 4th June 2020. And after the publication of that results in that journal, even World Health Organization stopped the trial of the solidarity trial. The trial done by World Health was known as solidarity trial, and it was stopped seeing that conclusion by the authors, Indian authors, which appeared in New England Journal of Medicine and Lancet. Next one. And what happened later? These two journal articles were retracted. And why it was retracted? Just because some scholars began to raise allegations about the data sets from which the authors reached that conclusion. On further investigation, newspaper outlets revealed that the data sets were collected from a small firm known as Surgisphere, and the Surgisphere database, and they claimed that they collected the data from across different institutions or hospitals from around the world. And Surgisphere was a new firm, a startup organization, and some said that they are not capable of having this international networking, and the data must be a fraud one. And so the editors of the journal asked for the data sets, and they were unable to provide the data set, citing the reason that patient confidentiality. So without just because of not providing the data set to the editorial board to further peer reviewing it, they declined to give it, and that's why the two papers were retracted from New England Journal of Medicine and also from the Lancet. And it was a great shame to the Indian scientific community. And this was the latest example on data fraud done by scientists or researchers in science field. Next one. Redundant publication. What is redundant publication? It's also called Salami publishing, and this refers to the situation that one study is split into several parts and submitted to two or more journals, or the findings have been previously published elsewhere without proper cross-referencing, permission, or justification. This is Salami publication. Suppose you are a researcher, you are going to submit a thesis, and there is actually there would be only scope for one or two articles, but you may split it into several articles, say for example 10 or 15, and you try to publish it. And this is what is known as redundant or Salami publishing. Okay, next one. Another misconduct is self-plagiarism, and self-plagiarism is considered a form of redundant publication. The practice is widespread and might be unintentional, and I will explain it in simple terms. Suppose you have published a paper in 2010, and after that you didn't made any research. In 2020 you started publishing another paper, and you copied enormous amount of text material or other data from the 2010 paper, and you included in the 2020 paper. It is considered as self-plagiarism, and if you self-plagiarize in enormous way, that may amount to retraction. And several publication outlets have different policies on self-plagiarism, so it's better not to self-plagiarize enormously. You have to refer it, or you have to restate in your own words. You restate your own sentences in the future purpose, and this is known as self-plagiarism. And there are so many cases in which the papers were rejected due to self-plagiarism. For example, I used to see papers rejected from the scholars of a nearby university, citing enormous amount of plagiarism, and upon perusing the detailed plagiarism report, we can see that they are the same words or the same images or the same data of the same research. So do take care, do take extra care to self-plagiarize. Next one. Duplicate submission or publication. And this refers to the practice of submitting the same study in two journals or publishing more or less the same study in two journals. And this is called a duplication. You should take extra care while submitting. You are not allowed to submit the same paper to two journals at a time, and it is scientific misconduct because it may be published in both the journals. That's the case. So duplicate submission is a misconduct. Don't do that. Then translations of articles without proper permission or notification and resubmission of a previously published open access articles are considered as duplication. And so translations can also comes under this duplicate submission head. Next one. Overlapping publication. This is almost the same that of Salami publication, and see, a certain overlap between a scientist research publication is not unusual in many scientific fields. Several publications may be based on the same material or the research data or disseminate partly the same results. Okay, in some areas, researchers may be even said to have a strategic interest in publishing their result in least publishable units called Salami publishing. It's almost same. Overlapping publications and Salami publishing. Next one. Fake peer review, and this is the final item which is described in COP website about the scientific misconduct. And what is fake peer review? Actually, this is an example which happened in Kerala, in Trivandrum, in CSIR lab, and there was a postdoctoral researcher. And what normally we does is, when we submit a manuscript to a journal, after the submission, the editor may ask the author for providing the email address and the contact number of 3 peer reviewers or 3 experts in their domain. Normally, the author will give the contact address. In this case, what the postdoctoral researcher did was, he created 3 fake emails, fake email IDs, and he provided that fake email IDs to the editor. And what happened next? Normally, the editor will send that manuscript to 3 reviewers, and that manuscript reached the same person who is the author himself, because he created the fake email ID in the name of others, which are domain experts in his field. So the manuscript came to the inbox of the author himself, 3 inboxes. And the author himself did the peer review. And this is a wonderful, good paper, publish it at the earliest. And the editor accepted the reviewer comment, and the paper was published. 3 to 6 months, some way this information was leaked, and the journal investigation and found out that none of the peer reviewer names given by the author is author reviewed that paper. So they identified a fraud, that is a fake peer review, and the paper, all the papers were retracted from journal database. This happened in 2018 or 17, and this is a publication misconduct. Next one. Then authorship and contributorship. This is another publication misconduct, and it the subsections coming under that title is contribution disclosures. And when you submit to international journals or standard journals, they insist to disclose the contribution. This author has done this much of work. This author has done this much of work. You happen to see in good journals that there will be a contribution disclosures. Some persons will only do the typesetting, or some person will only do the image processing. So now the contribution disclosures is mandatory in some of the journals, and if you do not disclose contribution, your manuscript will not get published in in several occasions. Then authorship disputes. This is interlinked with this contribution disclosure. Suppose after the publication of a paper, if an author disputes that majority of work is done by me, the editor may retract that paper due to that disclosure. So in the beginning itself, you have to disclose the contribution of each author. Otherwise, this authorship disputes occurs. This is a scientific misconduct. Next one is gender bias. It is there is a critic that when women scientists try to publish, there is a bias shown by editors towards them, and this is a authorship bias, and it comes under scientific misconduct. Then authorship trade, and this is now predominant in Indian academic circles. If you are a member of any of the Facebook academic groups, you may find that third author position is available. Second author position is available. Contact me in the inbox. And 1 month before, I contacted a person who put that advertisement in one of the academic groups in Facebook, and he asked for 35,000 rupees for documenting my name as the third author. And this is what is called authorship trade, and this is an unethical practice. So many academics in India are doing this authorship trade. So it's an unethical practice. Do not do that. Then the next one is gift authorship. Suppose you have entirely worked on a paper, and normally it's you include your guide's name, and sometimes you may include some other colleague's name in the authorship area, and it's unethical, and it is known as this gift authorship. What is known as gift authorship? Okay. Then what is ghost authorship? Ghost authorship means some fictitious persons. For example, I just read a paper that a dog was a co-author of a paper. So this comes under this ghost authorship, or unknown persons, or the paper written by unknown persons for you, and this all comes under ghost authorship. And one example is there. You are all aware about this plagiarism detection software. For example, Turnitin, then Authenticate. And now we are using Urkund in our universities. And Turnitin has now come up with a separate software feature known as Authorship Investigate. Authorship Investigate. And what this Authorship Investigate does is, it will scan the previously written purpose of a student or a scholar, and it will be archived in their database. When future purpose or the further purpose are submitted, they will scan through the sentence structures, style of writing, etc., and they will produce a result which is similar to that of similarity index, which is produced by text plagiarism detectors. And this authorship investigate produces similarity, and it shows, and it will reveal that whether that paper is probably written by that student or by some ghost. That is ghost authorship. So technology is very much coming into a developing form, so that it is no longer possible to cheat by hiring ghost authors, or it is known as contract cheating. By hiring ghost authors, you cannot sustain in academic life. That is authorship investigate. And this is what I have to say about this scientific misconduct. And one thing I skipped is the misconduct by plagiarism. It is the most prevailing misconduct in Indian circles. Now, after the introduction of plagiarism detection softwares like Turnitin, Authenticate, etc., there is a sharp reduction in text plagiarism. And one thing I have to tell to the audience or the participant is that this text plagiarism detectors are not the final word. We may think that all plagiarism can be detected using this text plagiarism detectors. It is not so. there is another type of plagiarism detection system coming up, and it is known as citation-based plagiarism detection system. And it look for the copying patterns of the citations in an academic manuscript or a thesis or a paper. Patterns of copying of citation, not the text. And the classic example for citation-based plagiarism detection system is the thesis of the German defense minister called Theodor zu Guttenberg. What actually he did was, he submitted a thesis in a German university in 2010 or something, and it was in German language. Actually, he translated a thesis on American Constitution, which was in English, and he translated that to German, and it was submitted to a particular university in Germany, and he was awarded PhD. But in 2012, a researcher known as, I think, Belknap, K-N-A-P-P, and he introduced the citation-based plagiarism detection system. And using this citation-based plagiarism detection system, the system revealed that, or it produced a similarity index that majority of the citations have some interconnections with some already published material, and found out that found the original English version of that thesis, and allegations came. The university started investigation and found out that the majority of the portions were translated from that thesis. That thesis, the plagiarism in that thesis was not detected by Turnitin or text-based plagiarism detection systems that time. It was revealed only by using citation-based plagiarism detection system. So this is the newer development in plagiarism arena. So you should know about this text plagiarism detection systems plus citation-based plagiarism detection system. And the discussion of the citation-based plagiarism detection system, it is not started in our academic circles. We should have to start that. I think this will be a good group to start that discussion. And the two sources I would like to suggest for enhancing the knowledge about this scientific misconduct or publication misconducts are, one is Retraction Watch. Just search Retraction Watch, and Retraction Watch is a blog or a website that lists retractions from scientific world on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, etc., etc. And if you follow the retraction base in a regular manner, within 3 months or 6 months, you will be getting awareness about what are all the scientific misconducts done by the top-notch research scholars or the authors of the manuscripts or the journal articles published in various good or high impact journals. And you can pick and choose. Some will be plagiarism, some will do image duplication, some will do what authorship trade, some will do what they will not disclose the contribution disclosed, and you can pick and choose all these examples if you regularly follow this Retraction Watch. So I recommend to create an alert or email alert in Retraction Watch today itself, so that you can receive these details about retractions from scientific world on a daily basis to your email. And the second one is Puppeer, P-U-P-P-E-E-R, Puppeer, and it is a website or a portal hosted by a non-governmental organization in USA, and you can search the purpose in Puppeer, and you can create account in Puppeer with your genuine name or with or using an anonymous name, so that you can search papers and you can comment if you come across any of the scientific misconducts. And if you follow some of the threads or some of the discussions on major papers or major retracted papers, there will be a ton of comments by scholars in that particular domain. You will get a clear, exhaustive picture of what are all the subtle nuances of the scientific misconducts done by the so-called top-notch professors or academics in that field. So you will be a learned person after 1 year if you regularly follow this Retraction Watch or Puppeer. Do take part in the discussions in Puppeer so that you can contribute to the scientific world for creation of a good or a genuine scientific academic world you can contribute to that. So these are all the basic things I would like to share about this scientific and publication misconducts. I thought I can show the examples by showing you the examples by clicking the links which I provided in the PPT, but unfortunately there arised some technical difficulties. There is no power supply here because I was having a session in the morning, 3-hour session, so my laptop got out of power. That's why I came over this mobile to you. Sorry for that. And you can ask any questions or clarifications or comments. I am ready to answer. If I do not know, I will refer it and answer to you later. And thanks for the listen. And this is the last one. This is the syllabus appeared in Research Publication Ethics course of UGC, and this is complaints and appeals. You can give complaint or appeals to editor if your paper is retracted without any concrete justification. You can give an appeal. Suppose your paper is retracted from a high impact journal, and you may not find a concrete justifiable reason for that retraction. In that case, you can give appeals to the editor to rectify it and include the paper to the journal, and that comes under the heading complaints and appeal. So if your paper is retracted without justification, you can definitely give the appeal. If it is genuine, they will accept it and they will publish or include that in your journal in the database later. Okay, thank you for the listening, and if you have any comments or clarifications, you can please ask. And one person asked a doubt in the chat box: what are the measures that can be avoided plagiarism? Actually, this needs another 1 hour session to describe, but one thing is be genuine. That's the one thing. Then second thing is always follow the Chinushaji, are you listening? The second thing is do follow the note taking method properly. What is note taking? Note taking includes 3 subsections. One is quoting, the second one is paraphrasing, the third one is summarizing. What is summarizing and paraphrasing? You have to restate in your own words the items you are borrowing from other sources. That is summarizing and paraphrasing. Summarizing is shorter form and paraphrasing is bigger one, and you have to restate in your own words. Even if it is a single sentence, you have to restate in your own words. Remember the example of C.N.R. Rao. What was the story of C.N.R. Rao? Actually, in 2011, some of the PhD students of C.N.R. Rao copied 4 sentences from a paper which was published in 2010 by some Bidut Sarkar et al. Copied exactly to the paper which they published in 2011. And C.N.R. Rao fell into a plagiarism row just because the students copied 4 sentences as such without giving citation. That means even if it is a single sentence, you have to restate in your own words and you have to give the citation. And this is one method to avoid plagiarism. Then other is quoting. You have to quote, give the double quotes when you borrow something exactly from other source. And these are the basic methods you can follow to avoid plagiarism. And always check your paper with a plagiarism detection system before submission to any journals or to any institution, or before the submission of your thesis. And these are the methods. Then can you give details about similarity report? Similarity report means in text-based plagiarism detection systems like Turnitin or Urkund or Authenticate, it will produce a similarity index, which is a measure of similarity of text which appears in your manuscript. Actually, this software matches the text in your manuscript with the text available in the web, academic databases, etc. And the amount of similarity is known as this similarity in text. And universities allows certain percentage of similarity in submitted thesis or manuscript. In MG University for thesis you can have up to 25% similarity index. In Kerala University it is 10% similarity index allowed. That means you are not permitted to plagiarize. You can have a similarity up to 10% or similarity up to 25%. And what this similarity means, suppose you are writing sun rises in the east in your paper. This sentence is already available in the web or some other places. The text-based plagiarism detection system count it as similarity. And if you are writing a thesis on organic chemistry, you may have to reproduce a long chemical formula in 1 or 2 pages. So naturally, it may have been appeared in several other places before. The text-based plagiarism detection system will show the similarity. And this is what is called similarity. And you are not permitted to plagiarize even a single percentage. You are permitted to have similarity up to a certain percentage. And that's what I would like to give reply to Dr. Radhika. Then Suma has asked that, can you explain ghost plagiarism once again? Actually, we are aware about ghost writers. No, there was allegation that all the books of Dr. Virendra Kumar was written by someone else. And this is ghost writing. And in the similar case, I said about ghost authorship, not ghost plagiarism, right? It's a manuscript written by others, because and it is known as contract cheating. We are giving money to somebody else and they are writing papers for us. That is ghost authorship and not ghost plagiarism, what I said. Chandana has asked a question, please give some plagiarism software or plagiarism site to check our thesis before submission. Please do not check your thesis in free plagiarism detection system. It's better to check your thesis in university or the institution if you have access to it. For example, MG University has access to Urkund. Then Kerala Agriculture University has access to Turnitin. Then many universities has access to Urkund, and they allow trials before submission of the final manuscript. And if you are a Panakaran or Panakari, do buy credits from Authenticate. You can check your paper by giving $100 for a paper having length of 25,000 words. $100. It's highly expensive. And Turnitin and Urkund have only institutional access. So please contact any of the institutions having access to Turnitin so that you can check your paper. For example, in Kerala Agriculture University, if the paper is sent through the librarian of your institution, they will check the paper for you for an amount of something 500 or 300 rupees. So these are all the suggestions I can share with you. And if you do not find any of the institutions or firms in helping you to check with plagiarism, please send that paper to me. I have personal access to almost all the plagiarism detection softwares. And I am not telling all the participants to send your manuscript to me. Just a favor to Chandana, just because she has asked that question. Then Swati has asked a question, can we publish research papers based on our PhD objectives before the submission of PhD? So okay, fine. It's good to publish before the submission all the things. So it is so the examiners will find that this is already reviewed findings and arguments or objectives. So it's I will not stop you for publishing your objectives before the submission. So in my suggestion, you can publish it, but please check with your guide. He is the final man or the final person to have a word on that. Chandana, highly expensive, don't afford. That's highly expensive. That's what I told you about the price of Authenticate. It's $100 for checking a paper having a word length of 25,000 words. Highly expensive. That's why our institutions dropped the subscription of this Turnitin and Authenticate, because in 2014 we have access to Authenticate in MG University, we have access to Turnitin in 2016-17, but highly expensive, so we dropped, and now we have Urkund, which is less expensive. It's around 1.5 lakh rupees. Okay, you can unmute on us.
Hi, Jasmine. I have a question.
Okay, please ask.
First of all, thank you for this interesting talk. It was really good. Like, you gave a nice introduction to the whole problem, and then you gave a nice summary. Like, every slide was one single problem. And I was wondering about a few things about authorship. Like, if you consider, you were talking about the scientific misconduct, and you also said that the majority of misconduct happen in the medical domain. I have one question is regarding that. I don't think that. So I've read that majority of the misconduct happens in the science related topics, but I have never found anything related to medical. But I have so that is one question, and other question is regarding the authorship. Like, if you take the example of research misconduct, and India is also there in the top list where the most number of misconduct is done. So in India, if you take an example of a college or a university, and there are like a professor and there are students, and then the mindset of some professors are like, okay, I have some students, okay, maybe I will give them some projects, and so that I can, suppose I have 10 or 20 students, I can give them projects so that I get 10, 20 papers. So this is the mindset, and I've seen some professors even taking first authorship once these papers get published, even though they don't have any major contribution in the paper. And this has become a culture already. And then if the student do not give an authorship for the professor, it is simply treated as disrespect. So what is your definition of authorship? Like, how do we solve this problem? Like, every professor is expecting an authorship, even though he or she do not have a direct contribution in the paper. And this is very common in many universities and colleges in India. Like, how do you think, or what would be your solution to this problem, or what is your definition of authorship? When should I give an authorship to my supervisor? I was taking his help for I was taking his guideship only. I was simply consulting him for some questions. He never had a direct involvement in the project. So the whole idea was mine. So in that context, how do you solve this problem?
Okay, the answer for the first question is actually I am working in medical field now. I am a medical researcher. So I usually follow the scientific misconduct in medical field. That's why I said I have seen majority of misconduct in medical field. And then I have also created alerts on scientific misconducts in medical field. Now, actually, in all domains there are scientific misconducts, and it is subject specific. That's why I said it. I am giving the clarification that it's common in all the fields. You can search and find scientific misconducts in all the fields, because if you follow the retraction watch, you can see the purpose retracted from humanities domain, language domain, then social science domain, etc., etc. So it's a common phenomenon that all the disciplines have this sort of scientific misconduct. You can search and find out examples for that. Then the second solution is how this authorship pattern can be genuinely given. And I just read in the morning that some persons in foreign universities developed a software tool for the amount of contribution each author is doing, and using that software tool we can determine some sort of authorship pattern like that way. And what you said about Indian scenario is right. Many persons who are not contributing nothing to a study is claiming authorship, or the research guides, or the other persons are claiming the authorship so that they can increase their number of citations, their promotion chances, etc. So naturally, we should discourage. There should be policy decisions from the higher education institutes on this ghost authorship or the authorship problem. Just like how UGC or the higher education body in India introduced this prevention of plagiarism or unethical practices in Indian scenario. They have now strong worded letters from UGC to institutions that you should take extra penal measures, those who plagiarize the 10%, 25, etc., etc. Like that way, UGC or higher education institutes should start policies that to prevent this problem of ghost authorship and the discrepancies in giving the non-contributing authors to the authors list. That's what I would like to comment on that.
Cool, thank you.
Some other questions in the chat box. How can we reduce self-plagiarism? Just to restate what you documented in your previous purpose in other words. Just restate it or retell it, and that's the only way to reduce self-plagiarism. Then organizing committee, please give the contact number or mail address. I will chat box then Alfonso. Nitin John has asked a question. What are the benefits of using reference management software? Which would be a better reference management software to use? This reference management softwares can reduce the time of your documentation. That's the main use. If you are writing a thesis, at least you can reduce the writing time by 6 months by using a reference management software. It will take enormous amount of time to document manually the correct in-text citation of the bibliographic data. But if you are using a reference management software, you can very easily format your paper automatically. And there are so many softwares like Mentally, Zotero, EndNote, RefWorks, Revman, etc. The basic functionalities, features of all those softwares are almost the same. So you can use any of the softwares, but be expertise in one. You can use any of the softwares, and I would suggest Mentally or Zotero because they are free. Then EndNote is priced one. RefWorks is priced one. And if you are from medical field, try using Revman, REVMAN. So many softwares are there. Each one have their own functionalities and features. So you can use anyone, Mentally, Zotero, etc., etc. And I will give my email ID and contact number in the chat box so that if you find something, if you find some doubts, please contact me or give a message in the WhatsApp. My email ID is jasimntd@gmail.com and my number is 9895786534.
Sir, shall we conclude the session?
Yeah, okay, fine. If there are no more doubts, we can conclude.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your informative talk.
Okay, fine.
The talk on research misconduct was really useful for all of us, especially for the research students. I would also like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. Jacob Matthew, sir, other vice principal, research director, Dr. Jo Prasad Matthew, accuracy members, technical team, all the faculties and all the participants for your valuable time and participation in the session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, fine. Thank you.